Welcome back to
Wow, it's
IGN
only one
Live at San
person.
Diego Comic-Con 2018. I'm your host, Max Scoville. There are lots of zombies and
I was
Walking
just
Dead
watching
fans
a
here at
quick
Comic-Con, and
video
Telltale's The Walking Dead
like
video game
presentation
series has
before
been going
this.
strong since 2012, but this year, it's coming to a close. Joining us now for a look at episode 1 of The Walking Dead's final season is Telltale's Kent Moody.
I thought it was Eric.
I asked you 4 times before we started how to pronounce your name.
Yeah, you corrected though. So
It's live television. Here's how
Sad
it is.
that they got delayed.
This is a series like this put, I feel like emotional storytelling in games pretty much on the map. Like in 2012, you guys blew the doors off of that. And it was very much like the ending for season 1 was like, people were like, I can't do this. I don't know how to handle this. How are you going to end the series?
Why is she driving?
Well, I mean, we're at the studio. We're being really respectful of like the long history and the journey that the fans have been on with the series for so long. And we know, yeah, everyone talks about the end of season 1 and the journey between Clementine and Lee and that bond. And so basically, because we know the world has fallen in love with Clementine over all these years, we're basically trying to make sure that her story gets an ending that feels satisfying and a resolution to basically the journey she started on since the very first season where Lee started to take care of her and teach her how to survive and, you know, the world.
Why is she holding it that way?
Yeah, I mean, you go to like the trailer for the final season, and all the comments are just, Clem, no, don't do it. Like you're holding a gun to a
Everyone
loved
cares a
one's
lot
head.
about Clem.
Yeah, well, you've been building her up as this wonderful character for so long. Now we're looking at the first 15 minutes of episode 1 of the final season.
Yeah, this is a scene fairly early on in the first episode. So just for some context here, this is
nice.
Clementine
Give me a
and,
description.
AJ, the boy that she's taking care of, have been traveling on the road for like a really long time. They've been like looking for some place to stay and for food to eat, and they've kind of been on a journey for so long.
I really like how the game
getting
looks.
a little bit to the end of their rope, and just trying to survive on their own in this world. It's just been hard, and they're hoping that they can find something better.
Find food.
So in this scene, they found an abandoned train station, and they're hoping that maybe inside they can actually find something to eat. Which is like a rare commodity now. Yeah, I would imagine this. You guys, it's been 5 years post-apocalypse at this point. Yeah, we're so far in actually that like most like terms of like prepackaged food and stuff you would expect to find is like gone now. Like you're not going to find the Twinkie factory at this point to make it to the end. Now, how do you like strike the balance between like mature storytelling and it being about children? That's always like a very touchy subject in games. Yeah, it's something we're trying to always be respectful of. I mean, The Walking Dead, like even though everyone's children, everyone kind of has to grow up a lot faster, right? Like everyone kind of has to be hard to survive at this point.
That's
so even
really
though
nice.
It's children and stuff you've seen from other material, like the game is actually about a cast of children this season.
I know they showed
it. How the fact that they
early
have grown
gameplay,
up in this
but
world kind of without adults, like
them.
being able to take care of them for a while, gives us kind of like a really unique take on the apocalypse at this point. Given that people have seen so many other like apocalypse stories before. It's kind of like a Lord of the Flies thing too. There's a bit of that. There's a little bit of that, yeah. Now, do you have people working in the game? How many of them have kids and have like taken sort of that experience and put it into the game? We definitely have a lot of people have kids. We definitely get a lot of opinions around the studio about like how the child characters should talk. There's always a lot of discussion about how AJ, you know, who's like the youngest member of the cast, like would say things.
Oh, that's what.
And how like precocious he should be, even though he's like a unique character who has. He was born into this world, and he was only raised by Clementine. It's pretty much just been him and Clem, pretty much since he's been able to be, you know, a cognizant person. Huh. So he has a pretty unique take on how to live. Now, obviously, people love Clementine.
It's really dark.
Like you get attached to her. Like there's this kind of almost like Stockholm syndrome thing where you're like, oh, this game has emotionally beaten me up. Like I'm attached now. How do you
really gain the Life is Strange vibes?
How would you feel her character arc has kind of come together, like just overall that's a good question. I think so. Basically, like the beginning. So Clementine basically started out as like a child of innocence and light because she just kind of was that way naturally before zombies hit the world. And so Lee had to kind of like take this very kind of like soft and sweet girl who kind of believed in the goodness of other people and kind of like make her a little bit harder and kind of teach her how to survive. And so I think across the arcs of the season, across seasons 1, 2, and 3, she's kind of been getting harder and more capable.
You can like everything.
Here, she's now a like completely hardened apocalypse survivor in this world. She knows exactly how to live. She knows how to deal with zombies, and she's passing all these lessons on to AJ. Yeah, but you don't want to, you obviously don't want to harden her too much because she's still compassionate and kind of like, she's still compassionate by default, and like her caring for AJ is kind of where most of that comes out in the season in particular. And players still have the the opportunity in how they just decide to play Clementine, how hard or how soft she decides to go. There's sort of like a spectrum of Clementines you can go depending on how you play the thing. Now, can you tell a little bit more about AJ and sort of how what kind of a role he fills in this? Yeah, so AJ is kind of like, there's an obvious parallel going on between Lee and Clementine. Now it's a bit more like Clementine and AJ. Like Clementine finally has someone that she's taking care of and needs to like pass lessons onto and protect.
AJ's
but what
always
makes AJ
listening.
different from how Clementine was in the first season, whereas Clementine was, sweetness and light. AJ was born in this world and born in the world of the apocalypse. So he's just like, since he first talk,
has been learning how to survive in a world of zombies from Clementine. So he's a little harder, and he's a little more of like a little capable war child. But he doesn't know a lot about morality and such because they haven't been around other people. So kind of dealing with how you like integrate him into a society and that kind of stuff is the things you need to be able to teach the kid.
Would you say that like Clementine is trying to sort of endow him with almost more of the sort of pre-apocalyptic sort of softness and warmth, as opposed to just harsh survival instinct?
That's actually something the player has control over in the season.
Oh my
the player
God.
can actually decide, like, because the world is so
Why did
hard,
that
do you
happen?
want to make AJ hard too, so he'll be protect himself, or are you more concerned with like giving AJ more of like a childhood or more of like compassion in a way that would you think is more important for his like soul?
Okay. Can you speak a little bit about sort of the culture at Telltale surrounding The Walking Dead? Because this was the game that really put you guys kind of on the map and just like
And
a
to
Telltale
get
game
booed.
became a depending on your household, a household term.
Yeah, I mean, The Walking Dead, when it hit and was such a huge success and won like 80 Game of the Year awards or whatever, like completely changed like Telltale. Like it was, we knew we were making something special when we were making the first season, but we couldn't have predicted how big it got. Like none of us expected it to blow up in the way that it did. And ever since then, it's sort of like been our benchmark for like quality, and like we know it's what our fans care about the most, and we know we need to follow up and like nail it with this final season.
So you say final season? You've done sort of side steps, and there was the Michonne, and there was 400 Days. And you've done sort of like
that's actually a good question.
tertiary things to The Walking Dead. Is this the end of Telltale's relationship with The Walking Dead this season?
This season is the end of Clementine's journey, and that's as much as I'll say on that.
Okay.
They're gonna
fair
continue
enough.
Walking Dead still.
Now, a lot of
That's
people,
good
I
to know.
think, that interactive.
I know they already said it, but
narrative
I'm not
approach
sure if that was
seems
still
like
the plan.
People are always pushing that envelope further and trying to really drive it home. Is there a world in which Clem doesn't live through this? Is there like a down ending to this?
I'm definitely not going to spoil any of the
Not gonna
endings
spoil that?
to the
Oh, God.
season.
Okay, well,
I will say dark things will happen because it is a season of The Walking Dead. So.
Okay. I mean, that's a terrifying line to walk, I imagine, and you see how an audience reacts to, like that's the thing about games as a medium, is that the players have so much control that it almost feels like that's something that they helped create.
Yeah.
And if you suddenly just kind of jerk the wheel and you're like, well, anyway, the ending's this, bye, sorry, and people get worked up.
Yeah, I mean, we do a lot of work to make sure that the endings and the choices and the paths you can take in the game feel like something the player would want to, either they've chosen themselves or the circumstances around it make it feel like that's what they should opt into. Like it's kind of like game design in general. You want to make sure the player and the character are as aligned as you possibly can make them. And so that's either through the choices or through the circumstances based on what we've set up about the character. Actually, if you would like to do a little host participation here in our demo, we have it set up here. So Clementine and AJ need to get into this back room because they're pretty sure that there's food inside there. They've entered this abandoned train station, and they found this tied up zombie couple who have tied themselves to chairs and drank poison so that they could die in their own home and gaze outside that window at the sunset forever.
Kill the couple,
they have
send
a
AJ
key on
inside.
them. So Clementine could kill them and take the key, despite the fact that this is what they wanted, or you can send AJ through that small hole into possible danger, but you know that there's food in there.
Ooh,
and Clementine has talked about, like, AJ goes like, we should kill them, they're not people. And Clementine says something to the effect of, but they were used to be people, and as people, they asked to be left alone. And so what would you choose in this scenario?
You know what? I think it's just a safety hazard to have them sitting there. I think we should ace them. We should get rid of the couple.
Okay, kill the couple.
Oh wow.
I mean, maybe I'm a monster, but I don't know.
Maybe. But
I mean, what if some other pair of children stumbles into this train station?
Who knows?
There's just zombies sitting there.
It's true. They're not much of a threat. They're tied up and they're pretty weak and old. But
all right, get the key. Double tap it.
you gotta double tap this one. She's a little blurry.
Oh.
Yeah, the gore and the character models and stuff look really fantastic this season.
Pick up better the lighting a little bit.
The art style has been like pushed, I think, even to the best version of our sort of like living comic book thing that we've been trying to do since the first season. Mm-hmm. We even have this thing we're calling graphic black, where like objects far away from the camera get like really solid black and solid colors and stuff as you get farther away to create this sort of depth of field effect that's like comic book based as opposed to like camera based.
Have you ever considered doing a black and white filter for these games?
Oh God,
I haven't thought about it.
I feel like that could be really cool, just because it would look like really like the comics.
Yeah, it could look really cool.
I don't want black and white.
Now this is we've seen you guys kind of put The Walking Dead previous seasons on all sorts of devices. Are there ever any plans to do like a remastered kind of complete series that really wraps everything up together, or is that?
We've actually released The Walking Dead: The Complete Collection for consoles.
They should wait for the final season.
Now we put it the final season. So I don't know if in the future we'd add to make some kind of collection that includes this as well. It is important to note, if you haven't caught up on The Walking Dead and you want to, if you pre-order this season, you will get The Walking Dead Complete Collection for free.
All right. Can we check in on what's going on in this just horrible dystopia here?
Yeah, we should. So Clementine and AJ found a back room, which is clearly where the zombie couple was staying, and AJ finally found some bullets for his gun. Clementine has taught AJ how to shoot the same way that Clementine taught Lee taught Clementine to shoot. And he's like, it's like something he's good at because he is, trained to survive in the apocalypse.
That's right.
So, but him having a gun at this point was almost like a security blanket. It's not really. And now he's suddenly got bullets for it, and it's like a real thing.
We're playing as AJ or
You can tell
dialogue
he's used
or
it before, but they were out of bullets. And the beginning of the first scene we didn't see actually starts with him like clicking the gun in the car. And that kind of immediately tells you how AJ is a very different child. AJ was born into the apocalypse, and this is the kind of world he's had to grow up in. So he's way harder than a child growing up in our world would have to be.
Spoiled.
This is gnarly.
Yeah.
This is some bleak business right here.
It should make you feel some bleak things. And you can actually, even right here, choices still matter. You can actually determine whether AJ gets to swear or not. As you know, Clementine has her classic swear line where she would get mad at Lee for swearing in the first season. Now you finally get to decide yourself should the child swear, and it actually determines whether he swears or not in the future.
Parenting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
God.
still some of that classic stuff that we liked about season 1 and kind of getting to adjust how Clementine learned things applies to AJ as well. But Clementine and AJ they found some food in the back, but it was all spoiled. But then they noticed that there was some kind of door in the floor here, which maybe is promising.
Come on, rip it up. Get in there. Find out what's down. Oh.
Nope,
It's
there's
just-
stuff in
okay.
there.
I was thinking like a whole bunker, but it's just like a.
It's a vast, it's a large underground storage.
Yeah,
house
that's
full
kind of surprising.
It is.
Full of food.
Could eat for weeks with this much.
Now, are they gonna kind of just sort of what?
Oh, it was booby trapped.
Oh, I was like, who's down there with grenades? All right. Well,
there was a rope.
so much for that canned food.
Yeah, that's not going to work now.
Oh,
At least
man.
not the stuff near where it exploded.
So, can you speak a little bit about the sort of the mechanical changes that have come to this
Yeah,
season?
and we're actually about to see a good example of it coming up here. So this season,
Oh, God.
there's a really cool example of the graphic black style there, where the zombies in the distance, the noise from the explosion is drawing a bunch of zombies. There's actually a free-form combat system in the game now too, where there is combat that is not just a traditional scripted QTE sequence that we expected from Telltale games, but there also is.
Oh, it just said
sequences where
fuck.
Clementine gets to move
Oh my
freely
God.
and deal with hordes of zombies. And you can stun zombies and you can kill zombies. And zombies that are close to each other are dangerous. Clementine can't just kill a single zombie if it's next to another zombie. And so you actually have to kind of break them up by kicking their knee, which is sort of the classic Clementine trick
Oh man,
that she's learned. From
that's
the second
that's a pretty big.
so yeah, you're about
Did
to
you
see
just
right
find
there.
over
So,
there?
so there's still PT sequence we'll see a bit later, but there's also some of these where you get to determine how you can freely move around and fight these zombies. And it's completely in control of the player how to deal with this dangerous situation. If you mess up, those zombies will kill you. Oof, and it is rough.
Over here.
Oh,
Now, for
God.
people who are just
See,
playing.
AJ also helped you out here
Okay, that's cool.
by knocking that thing over in that zombie. Thanks, buddy.
Oh God, Clem, no. So for
What about the
people who are
food?
primarily just playing for the story, is there sort of like an easier mode for that if they're terrified?
We've intentionally designed those sequences to not be that difficult. I mean, the game, it's still a Walking Dead game, and it's not about hard gameplay and testing you on mechanics. It's
Oh.
about the story. I think we should actually get to watch this sequence here. This is Clementine and AJ. The explosion from the grenade drew a bunch of walkers from it. Now they're desperately trying to escape in the car. Clementine just stabbed the keys into that zombie.
Okay.
Car keys.
Well, now that we know are they going to get away? No, they're stuck in the car.
Yeah.
Well,
This is actually a really cool sequence. It's actually all one shot, kind of Children of Men style.
Oh, yeah.
It's something that our animators and our cinematographers are working really hard on. This is one of the most gorgeous sequences I think we've done as an action sequence in a Telltale game.
yeah, this is. I mean, you guys primarily make story games, but this seems like really an emphasis on
Oh,
real-time action.
Yeah, the spectacle,
Oh my God.
spectacle matters. And here's AJ always being helpful to you.
God, the camera work here is really cool. It's super neat.
wow, this is really nice first
Climb in the
person.
window.
Oh.
Yeah, AJ with a little knife.
So again, this is really pretty early in the game. And,
Yeah, this is pretty much the opening chapter of the game.
And there is, of course, entirely a scenario where you don't open
Okay.
that panel and turn on the grenade and attract a horde of zombies.
In this, you do always open that panel.
You do always open-
Yeah,
okay.
Although you get to determine how you get in there, and there are more significant choices that branch things a little bit more later in the episode.
Cool.
But this sets the tone for the whole story. This is the kind of world that Clementine and AJ are living in, and how hard it is for them.
This is gnarly.
The sequence is so cool. The animators and photographers did an amazing job.
Well, we've got to wrap things up here. The first episode of the final season of Telltale's Walking Dead hits PC, PS4, and Xbox One on August 14th, and there will be a Switch version to follow. I really, really hope you don't kill Clem, but if you do, I mean, props to that, I guess. Now, if you're a fan of Telltale's Walking Dead, you'll definitely want to stick around, because coming up exclusively on IGN, we are reuniting the voices of Clementine and Lee, and then later on, total change of tonal pace. We're going hands-on with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. But right now, we have to take a short break.
I'm good with that.